Hello, my name is Anne Marie Engdahl, and I am the Director of Student Policy and School Operations for the Sun Prairie Area School District. I'm with you today to be able to share with you some updates on our safety dashboard, as well as walk you through some of the work that we've been able to complete this year, as well as foreshadow what's coming soon. I want to begin with a quote that I think about often, actually, um, and just reminding us that our safety work is essential in order to ensure that we're able to create environments where students can thrive and ensure that we're meeting the goals of our instructional framework. Safety needs to really be a constant in order for student and staff and community to thrive. Without a sense of safety, no growth can take place. I believe that without safety, energy goes to defense. And so, one of the pieces that motivates me is ensuring that we are focused on really keeping students balanced and understanding of options when thinking about risks and managing challenging situations so that they're fully equipped to make informed decisions and be fully present during the school day at all times without the constant worry in the back of their mind. This has really driven our mission and our vision, which is here. The Department of Student Policy and School Operation helps to create a safe, welcoming, and supportive school environment for all students through the development, implementation, and evaluation of our district school operational policies and procedures. So I want to begin by highlighting the work that we have accomplished this year. As you all know, one of the elements from our district scorecard that was reflected um, regarding our department's work is really around our spring survey results, as well as implementation of safety trainings. I'll talk about both of those in detail moving forward, but I do want to note that despite having exceptionally high results in terms of percentage of students reporting that they feel safe at school, we saw an increase this year. As we look at our student survey results across the board, we can see that in almost every category, we see a significant or a notable rather increase in results. It's exciting to see this work continue and to see such positive results when we think about how students are reporting their feelings of safety. I know that the board has asked for some more detailed and local data in presentations, not just the high-level district data that we've seen in the past. And so as we considered what would be most helpful to help you all understand the work of this department, we decided to do a quick analysis of our operations log, which is where myself and Samantha record all of the incidents and situations that require follow-up or have significant complexities that we need to support. So you can see here, we have 331 incidents throughout the school year that we supported. And here you can see the location um, of those incidents during the 2023-24 school year. Um, we're really proud of those results, and we're also really proud of the partnership that we have built with our local agencies. Right here, you can see two pictures. One is from the school year. The picture on the left is our Sun Prairie West team preparing for a active threat drill at Sun Prairie West. You can see in the picture there are a number of officers, students, staff, and administration there, debriefing what we learned about how to ensure that our schools are safe. On the right, we see a slightly older picture, but it certainly reflects the ongoing work of a firefighter working with some of our elementary students to ensure that they know how to safely respond to any sort of a fire emergency, and how to be most helpful in medical incidents. I want to also lift up that the work of our department, in terms of fiscal responsibility, we have a relatively small impact on our district's budget. The vast majority of our budget is to staffing, as is true across the district. And we have two employees in our department, myself, Director of Student Policy and School Operations, and Samantha Cervantes, who's the Administrative Associate for Student Policy and School Operations. Our total budget is $97,350,000 for the year. About half of that goes directly to Raptor Technologies, which is a platform that we use for our safety response, and we will be using for our reunification trainings moving forward. So I'm excited to talk a little bit more about that. Okay, before we get into the safety trainings, I want to walk through the data that we've already seen in hopes that it can paint a large picture in order to be able to understand in broad strokes how we're thinking about safety, health, and belonging here in the Sun Prairie Area School District. One of the pieces of data that you will see in the situation report is noting both our drills and our professional development. So we had active threat drills, which involved a significant police presence as we thought about our responses there. Every school building has a monthly fire drill, and then we also adhere to our tornado or other hazard drills that are required by the state of Wisconsin. Our student services team has helped support ensuring all of our needed staff getting trained in nonviolent crisis intervention techniques, and that work will continue in the coming weeks as we're ramping up for the school year. Also noting professional development of staff for our critical incident response training. We do use an ALICE model here, and so all sites are trained in that. As I think about our partnership with our exceptional district nurses and our health and safety team, you can see here the number of medical emergency drills that took place at schools, as well as some numbers around who's certified in CPR and how many medical emergencies our nursing and medical teams responded to. For this school year, that was 34 incidents across our schools. We also wanted to give you broad numbers as we think about both incidents as well as complaint and assessments. I know that when we look at communication, we spend some time thinking about formal complaints, but this is across the system, not just the complaints that come through the Department of School Operations and Student Policy. Sorry, the Department of Student Policy and School Operations, long title. We can see here that this top chart gives us the numbers that we need to report to the state in terms of number of students involved in incidents of seclusion, restraint, and how that affected our students, and in particular, how that affected our students with disabilities. So those numbers are provided from that department and reported to the Department of Public Instruction. And that analysis happens every year. Underneath, we see our total number of formal complaints of bullying and harassment across our schools, as well as official staff complaints, which go through human resources, as well as the number of risk assessments, either violence risk assessments or suicide risk assessments completed by schools in order to determine support for students moving forward. It is worth noting that when we look at the comparison between the 2022, 23, and our most recent school year, that within complaints and assessments, we see a decline with regards to reports of bullying and harassment, as well as a decline in the risk assessments. We believe that that is related to the increase in use of our restorative practices and being able to do some preventative and proactive work in our schools in order to promote a culture of care. These are the numbers provided by our excellent facilities and grounds team. We had no issues of indoor environmental quality reported this year. During our drills, the emergency button functioned in all 15 of our school sites. Playgrounds have been reviewed for safety, as have bleachers this year. There was a slight delay in that during COVID years, but we are back on track. So I wanted to lift up for you a really exciting piece of work that we're going to be focused on in the coming weeks. So Samantha and I have spent the year working in partnership with Raptor, which is a technology company, to think about how we plan our reunification should there be an emergency that uh, requires us to reunify students with their families and caregivers. And so we have been working really hard to plan the guidance documents, the drill, and the technology work that needs to happen in the background. This training will happen in September and October of this year. We decided to move it to the beginning of the school year rather than during the summer in order to ensure that principals were able to lead their professional learning with a clear focus. Of course, staff will get safety training as we prepare for the coming days of coming first days of school. And in September and October, we'll really be focused on practicing our reunification. Should we ever need to utilize that process, we want to ensure everyone is prepared. So we will be rolling out planning, which identifies members of the reunification team, which is pretty significant, the type of planning we would need to do. We will run through how the Raptor app will help us with both organizing and notifying parents or caregivers when they need to get connected with students. Should there be any reason that we need to have a reunification site. We also recognize the need for redundancies in communication, as it is often the case that technologies fail during critical incidents. And so making sure that we're replicating with some paper backups the work that we will be doing online is really important to ensure that in the moment, implementation is always possible. Additionally, we've been working really hard this summer, and I know this is something the board has heard a little bit about on the alignment between Infinite Campus and our behavior matrix. Infinite Campus, our student information system, is a really complex system that stores all of our student information data. And one of the pieces that is stored there is behavioral response. Our Infinite Campus options have not matched our current layout of the behavior matrix, so we've been working to align that. Happy to report that I met with Kurt and several members of his team recently. We are on track to get that work happening. We were able to figure out a format that works for both the tech team as well as our school-based teams who are giving us input on those pieces. So I'm excited to report that that should be back on track soon. And we're hopeful that this will really clear up some confusion and harm that we've observed and participated in this year, when those things aren't aligned. So we're excited to see that back on track as well. Okay, I am happy and pleased to take your questions and happy to talk about whatever you would like to hear about moving forward. Thank you for your time and attention, and looking forward to seeing you on Monday night. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.